introduction. I would like to greet the Rotary International President's representative and former Congressman Francisco Jun Anyak Jr., District Governor Manny Along, past District Governor Jose Francisco Cifra, past Assistant Governor and District Conference Chairman John Martin Saraga, Host Club President Jose Luigi Saraga, District Rotary Representative Erwin Halili, past District Governors, former Congressman Phoenix Harola, Mayor Maxeno Obopol, sariling pala, lahat yata ng membro ng kanyang government is here to cheer you on. Councilor Mirna Motungul of Gimog, ABC President Councilor Robert Delara of Gimog City, Councilor Jojo Cortez of Cotabato, all the officers and members of Rotary Club Chapter District 3870, their lovely aunts and spouses present here today, the other illustrious guest speakers with whom I share this stage on this third plenary session, our guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, magandang tanghali po sa inyo lahat. Assalamualaikum. Natuto na ako because of one of the discussions that we have been having. Thank you very much to the entire Rotary Club District 3870 family for this very kind invitation to be with you at the district conference this year, held no less than in the city of Golden Friendship, the beautiful city of Cagayan de Oro. Thank you also to the Rotary Club of Cagayan de Oro for all the efforts that they have exerted to organize this event of friendship and camaraderie among the district members. I envy you all because the theme that you have chosen for your 2015 district conference is Kuljaka. Did I pronounce that correctly? Kuljaka. Which I am informed by my staff, who is a Bisaya from Cagayan de Oro, means extreme merriment. Well, nakakaingit nga kayo talaga kasi naman po, the theme of my legislative work right now is the opposite. It is extreme stress. So while yours is Kuljaka, mine is grabe kahago. I say this because at the Senate, especially the Committee on Local Government, which I am now the chairman, has a lot of work right now in connection with, I am sure you know, the Bangsamoro Basic Law. We are coming to the end of our deliberations and we are hoping to wrap up the hearings by the last scheduled hearing is on the 25th of May. We may have to extend a bit from what your Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is doing is scheduled, because I have to explain. Congressman Rufus's ad hoc committee contains 75 members. And the 75 members, pinaghati-hati nila sa iba't ibang cluster. And each cluster is conducting their own hearings in different places. In the Senate, there is only me conducting the hearings. So I have, for the Senate, so I am doing the work that the 75 congressmen are doing. That's why we are a little bit behind. But we have scheduled, we had a hearing during the recess to do with the ceasefire mechanisms which I found were too slow and too weak, especially after the Mama Sapano incident. Last Tuesday, we had a hearing with the Peace Council, and we have scheduled hearings in Jolo, Sulu, in Zamboanga City for next week. We have further hearings in Manila, where we will be joined by the MNLF, the indigenous people group, the IPs of groups of Mindanao and other concerned sectors. And these comprise the final leg of our committee hearings, which we are trying to bring as close to the hearts and homes of our Muslim brothers and sisters as much as possible. These hearings schedules are on top of the voluminous piles of paper that we need to sift through, analyze, and process, including what are the 119 provisions of the BBL. There are a multitude of interrelated and important peace agreements and documents that are binding upon government. We have collected 4 file drawers containing noteworthy laws, position papers, reports, memoranda from important stakeholders, and last and most importantly, in all our efforts, we are also duty-bound to consider and be guided by centuries' worth of our rich history and culture as a Filipino people. And so, you could say that we are coming to, I suppose, if it were a basketball game, nasa last 2 minutes na tayo. Nonetheless, despite the heavy schedule, I welcome the opportunity to come and be with you here in CDO when I received the invitation from Rotary Club District 3870, where I suppose masasabi nila, malakas talaga mga Rotary Club sa akin at ako'y magpapasalamat na kayo ay pinangyayari. Aside from that, I took this opportunity, on a more serious note, I wanted to join you here today, cognizant of the fact that the territorial coverage of District 3870 comprises areas that are directly affected by this proposed BBL Organic Act. More specifically, the provinces of Maguindanao, Lanao del Sur, Lanao del Norte, North Cotabato, cities of Marawi and Cotabato, as well as areas of the peripheries that are just as concerned about this bill. This is consistent with the official mandate in which I have been given, and my own personal mission to study the BBL and to pass a BBL that is not only thoroughly and conscientiously studied, but also one that will be capable of successfully ending our quest for a just and lasting peace. Just and lasting peace, stability, development, finally in Muslim Mindanao. More importantly, a BBL that likewise unites us as a nation, Muslims and non-Muslims, and respects the integrity of the Republic of the Philippines as much as it unites, respects the autonomy and achieves the collective aspirations of the Bangsamoro. The one that we as a nation have been waiting and longing for, but has been so elusive to us for so many years. The closest that we came, the only successful agreement that we have that had been forged with the fighting forces of the secessionist movement in the 70s was the Tripoli Agreement, which was signed in Tripoli. There was also, of course, the final agreement, the Jakarta Agreement in 1996. I have been asked, I am often asked, as I go around the country, the very simple question: will the BBL pass or not? I have to explain that there is no one BBL. There is a draft BBL that was given to us by the President, given to the House of Representatives, and given to the Senate. So when you ask the question, will the BBL pass, my question back to you, which one do you refer to? Do you refer to the one that the President gave us? Or do you refer to the one that is being presented in the House of Representatives? Do you refer to the one that is being suggested by the IPs? Is it the one that is being suggested by the Peace Council, etc., etc.? In other words, there are many versions of the BBL. And the job of the legislator is to look at the draft BBL, to listen to all the suggestions of all the stakeholders, and to make sure that we have the best possible bill that we can have. Now, we have heard many discussions. I'm sure that you have all been paying great attention to them. We have been hearing many discussions as to what are the things that need to do. There are constitutional issues, there are political issues, there are administrative issues, there are economic issues. And all of these have to be examined thoroughly, and we have to look and make sure that everyone who is affected by the BBL has their time to say whatever it is they feel, what their opinions are, and how they feel they will be affected by this new government that our government is proposing. And so we have to ensure in Congress that the BBL the law that we are writing is in fact, number one, constitutional. Number two, that it is legal, that it is enforceable. Because there is no use writing a law that we cannot enforce. And so this is the problem that we are faced with. That's why I am always at a loss when people ask me, will the BBL pass? Is it the one that we wrote last week, or the one we finished yesterday, or the one we are going to do next week or in the next month? So it is a work in progress, I think is the best way to describe it. And right now, we have, as I said, we have scheduled all of the hearings. We propose that the hearings will be finished by the 25th. And at that time, we will then go away to have a very good look and see what it is that what we have learned from all of the hearings. That is the point of the hearings is to have people come and speak and try to learn what their particular issues are, one segment of society, one area of society. We have to hear from the local governments. We have to hear from the IPs. We have to hear from the sultanates. We have to hear, of course, from the MILF, from the OPAC. We have to hear from retired officers. We have to hear now, because the Peace Council was formed, we had to listen to the Peace Council. So, in all of this, and all of this has been the tension between the position that the administration has taken, wherein pass the BBL without any changes. That is what they continuously have been saying. In fact, we are also here an even more, shall we say, ominous statements from the MILF, where they say, well, we also hear those same statements from the President and from OPAC, pass the BBL without changes or there will be war. There was the pronouncement very early on in the process where a better no BBL than a mangled BBL. But we are legislators, we are not the rubber stamp of what the executive has done. We have to look at the law and we have to make sure that it is as good a law, that it will pass all the tests for a good law that we can do. And that's why I have tried to make sure that I have heard from anyone who has something to say, especially those who represent a sector of society that are stakeholders in the BBL. And it turns out that the sectors of society that are stakeholders in the BBL is in fact the entire nation. There are some quarters that have insinuated that we are just delaying and derailing the BBL legislative fruition. Well, I have to disagree. Congress is not to pass upon the original draft simply to give our automatic thumbs up, as if we were a rubber stamp. Congress is as much a bulwark of the rule of law and constitutional supremacy in our beloved country in the same way that the Supreme Court always loftily claims that it is. The Executive Department has committed and bound us to a deadline, the 2016 elections, which is only just a year from now. The actual law is supposed to take effect by then, as to make it possible for the officials to be elected at the same time. But we know of that. Of that deadline, but it is not a real deadline. It is a deadline. It is a deadline that has been put there for political reasons, rather than for the reasons that that to make sure that it is a good BBL. What we have to do in Congress is, in my view, it is more important that we get the BBL right than that we follow these deadlines that are being imposed upon us by the executive. Unfortunately, it is a complicated bill. It is as complicated a bill as ever there has been in Congress. We have never created a regional government before. We have regions now, but they are administrative regions. They have been created for administrative purposes. We have only experimented with regional representation during the interim Batasan Pambansa, where we had regional Batasan members that were elected on a regional basis. There is a lot of talk about federalism. This was our first steps towards that. So even in that time, we were already approaching the idea of federalism. So although that surrounds this argument, right now what we are talking about is not the federalization of the entire Philippines, but we are only talking about a regional government. Furthermore, that government is parliamentary, which is not the same as the Republican and unitary government that we have in the rest of the country. Thirdly, it is considered, that is why it came to my committee on local government, it is considered a local government. And yet, all the structures and the rules that apply to it are different from every other local government. The other local governments, we have the provinces, we have cities, municipalities, and barangays, and they have a standard structure that is followed all around the country. This is an entirely different government structure that we are proposing for the Bangsamoro government. So this is something that we have never done before. The closest that we had come to it was as I said, the Tripoli Agreement, wherein two regions were set aside as autonomous regions. These became eventually, and after the 1987 Constitution, became the ARM. We had ARM and CAR, but CAR, the plebiscite, did not prosper. So ARM was the one that was created. So here we are now with this proposed BBL, and we are working very, very hard to make sure. I have been criticized. People have said, I have seen, I'm sure all of you have seen it, the posters that have set up senators against the BBL. And I can understand why people think that. But the fact of the matter is, what I am trying to do is I am trying to make the BBL perfect. Because there is so much at stake, and it is so important. And it is such a grand opportunity for us, perhaps, to move the peace process forward. What has come out in our discussions is that we have to view BBL. I also have to differ to people who say BBL will bring peace to Mindanao. BBL is only part of what we need to do in Mindanao. BBL is an agreement between the Republic of the Philippines and the MILF. As you well know, you are all here from Mindanao. As you well know, the minute the comprehensive agreement was signed, that there was an uprising in Zamboanga, specifically by the MNLF, to say that what happened to our agreement, Jakarta Agreement of 1996, and why are we suddenly being pushed aside? And that is a problem that is not contained, that is not a problem that's contained within the BBL, but it is a problem that we must confront if we are saying that the peace process its purpose is to bring peace. We have to discuss what is the context that the BBL exists in the context of the Tripoli Agreement, in the context of the Jakarta Agreement of 96. So it is not a simple thing to do whatsoever. And as I said, if we are going to do it properly, we cannot be rushed. And we had the timeline. Nakalatag na lahat ng aming mga plano for the hearings, but the draft BBL was transmitted to us 6 months later than expected. We were expecting it, I was first told that it was coming in April of last year. It eventually came end of September last year, that's 6 months. Then, after that, of course, we all know, Mama Sapano, the massacre happened. And we had to stop our hearings and to try and find out what really went on. And once we were satisfied, to a greater extent, that we had a good idea of what happened there and what the feelings were, then it was all right to proceed now with the hearings so that we could incorporate the findings of Mama Sapano, and the hearings of Mama Sapano could be incorporated into whatever was necessary to be included in the BBL. Last Tuesday, May 5th, the Peace Council formally turned over to the Senate its report and its recommendations as to what to say about the BBL. We were rather surprised, I have to say, because the first statement of the Peace Council was to say that the BBL is overwhelmingly acceptable and deserves the support of all Filipinos. And I took this as saying that this is a blanket approval of the BBL by the Peace Council. Now, much to my surprise, when we had the hearings, they had many, many suggestions and many, many insights as to what changes needed to be made to the BBL. And so, I think everyone is in agreement, except perhaps for OPAP and perhaps for the Palace. But everybody is in agreement that the draft BBL cannot stand as it was written. And if I am asked, when I am asked, again, to go back to the question that I spoke about at the very beginning, when I am asked, will the BBL pass? The one thing that I can answer is that the draft BBL, as it was given to Congress, will not pass either House of Congress. Because there are too many problems, there are too many areas that are not clear, there are too many constitutional issues that have not been remedied. So that is our job. That is our job in Congress. That is our job as legislators. And we will continue to do that job until the job is finished. Now, the different views that we have heard about the Bangsa, never mind the BBL, but about the Bangsamoro government have been very interesting. So, I could say that now we are back on track, and barring any untoward incidents that can distract national attention and disturb our schedule once again, we hope to terminate committee hearings, as I said, by the end of May. Then we have to buckle down to the very intricate and, again, I will admit, difficult work of actually drafting and formulating the Senate version, which the committee will then put forth to the plenary. I hope that this information and these updates have given you an idea of where we are with the BBL. I know everyone is very interested. I know that you have been watching, I am sure that you have been watching closely what has been happening in the House and what has been happening in the Senate in this regard. Just that we are trying to finish it and be able to say, when it is done, that this is something, this is a bill, this is a structure, this is a regional government which will actually work. Number one, it will be enforceable. That the structure that we design will actually work. That there will be governance, that there will be checks and balances, that there will be democracy, that there will be self-governance. That is the principle of recognizing the differences in culture, in history, in law, in religion. All of these will become part and parcel of what we will in the end present to the rest of the Senate. So I hope this information that I have given you will be able to inspire you, friends in the Rotary, in every possible way. You are all influential personalities, shapers of public opinion on this part in your communities. And perhaps you can use your formidable skills and abilities to be sharp, critical, and incisive in diagnosing and analyzing the problems that we are facing when it comes to BBM. I'm not saying that you should do our job for us, but it is in your interest to understand what this is all about. We are all, more so those of you who live in Mindanao, but more it is going to affect every single citizen of the country. I cannot, the expression that young people use is don't get me started. Because once I start on this subject, I can talk about this for the next 2 days, non-stop. There are so many details and so many intricacies to this issue that it really, and they're all interconnected. You change one thing, it affects something else. And they're all, it is something that is born of hundreds of years. People have said that this conflict only began in my father's time. It only began after the war. The very name Moro that we use for our Muslim brothers is a Spanish word. And that is because it started with the Spanish. When the Spanish colonized the Philippines, they came and they wanted for everyone to become Roman, to become Christian. And of course, the Muslim Filipinos did not want to become Muslim, and they fought for their religion. And that was the beginning of this conflict. So that is a long, long time that we are talking about. Magellan came in 1521, that this problem started soon after. So it is, again, there have many things have happened in the past. Many things are intruding upon the issue. And so we will continue to try and understand at least what the effects are to what we are doing today from the actions and events that happened hundreds of years ago. And so I hope that you are patient and that you will understand that there are many things that we needed to do and are continuing to have to do. But again, you who are the leaders in the community have a role to play in helping our people understand, in helping put forth your opinions, in helping give your side of this story, whatever that may be. We have heard many, and I have learned at each hearing that we have held, and in each speaker that I have listened to, I have learned at least something new. And every day that we are continuing to conduct these discussions, every day something else crops up. There's more detail. The more you look, the more there is, as they say. And so that is the situation that we are in now. But rest assured, we are not going to stop the work. We are going to do the best job that we know how to do to make sure that this BBM will in fact become part of the effort that will finally, hopefully, bring peace to Muslim Mindanao. It is a very tall order, but it is a challenge that we do not shirk from. It is a challenge that we face frontally, and it is a challenge that we welcome, because it is an important goal. And if we are to achieve that, then we must take into account all the different elements, not only the different groups, but all the different elements of governance, of power sharing, of finances, of economy, of our relations with other countries. All of these have to be taken into account, and we will do that. That way, we can say, when I finally bring it to the Senate floor, I can say that this is one that we can live with. This is a law that not only can we live with it, that I am confident, will succeed. Until then, until I am confident that we have a law will succeed, then we will beg your patience, and especially all of you in the Rotary understanding, especially now that I have made this very long explanation to you, that your understanding as to what it is that we are doing. But so long as you continue to take an interest, the Rotary Club of the Philippines will never fail to demonstrate to the public, through your constant and tangible deeds, not only your avowed ideals. This is part of what your founder, Paul Harris, had envisioned. But more importantly, your continued relevance and importance in our society and to the entire Filipino nation. So I will leave it at that. I am sure that I would not be surprised if you say that my explanation raised more questions than answers, but that is the nature of the work that we have before us. So thank you. Kaya hanggang dito na lamang po. Daghan na kayo na storya. So again, let me take this opportunity to congratulate everyone on the successful holding of your district conference of 2015. Mabuhay ang Rotary Club of the Philippines, District 3870. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Daghang salamat ug maayong buntag kaninyong tanan.